a few dark places in my mind I thought I'd never go to again. Now, it's serious. It's so serious.
Are you addicted to mountain bike riding?
Probably never riding.
I've had a
How
bunch
long did you spend in hospital?
A couple that have put me in hospital.
Does your family think you're mad for riding?
One advice for someone that's currently injured.
Did you even consider quitting
There's no
MTB?
denying that. 100% say no.
Mountain biking fixes everything.
Alrighty. Hey.
Okay, let's do Carl's questions list.
You've got the questions. Same questions for everyone, yeah? Okay.
Alright, first question. Introduce yourself. Alright, oh, that's easy.
Hello, my name's Mick. I'm 54 years old.
G'day everyone, my name's Shane. I'm 50 years old. I just celebrated that this year, so that technically makes me old as fuck.
And I ride the trails at First Turkey, Rockhampton. And I have a YouTube channel, Mick from Rocky, which is all about mountain biking.
Go by Shane MTB on Instagram as well as YouTube, and don't really exist outside of that.
Alright, so I'm David, DM MTB. Obviously I've got a YouTube channel, which you know, and I'm big on the Instagram as well.
My name is Carl. I run the MTB YouTube channel, which is where I expect you're watching this now.
Alright. So what was your biggest stack? When did it happen? What happened? And what damaged the bike and self? Alright, easy.
I've had a bunch of big stacks, a couple that have put me in hospital.
In December 2020, I had a really bad mountain bike crash and my chain snapped. I was fanging, I've gone straight over the handlebars, collected lots of rocks, and I ended up with hitting my head on a tree really hard, taken to hospital. I was diagnosed with a broken arm and some broken ribs and maybe a concussion. I was told to come back in 4 weeks just for a checkup. Just a shame you can't move your arm. Come back in another 4 weeks, and I said, look, I still can't move, and I've done all the exercises you told me to do. They discovered that I had completely destroyed the top of the humerus and the cup of the scapula. So that was just all shattered all the way through, and it dislocated itself. And on this side here, it broke my collarbone. They didn't even pick it up. So that resulted in surgery, and it also resulted in basically my shoulders plastic and putty with some donor bone and lots of screws. Fuck Carl.
In October 23, where I basically went on a wrong line thinking it was a 10-foot gap jump with one stupid mistake. Potentially going to be a broken rib that might perforate my lungs, which didn't happen, so that was all right.
22 years ago, I broke my neck. I still have plate holding C5 and C6 together, and I followed him blindly off a jump that I found out was blind to him as well. The garden bed sort of went up about 1 metre and then dropped about 4. With sheer panic as I went off the lip, I kind of looked down, which rotated the bike, and I landed on my head after flying a good 10 metres or so.
So my biggest crash was at a wubba. That happened back in 2022. I literally just let the brakes off and went for it. I got to the section of the trail. I literally went as hard as I could, and I made the biggest mistake of not putting my eyes up. So when I got to the last hump, I realized there's a left-hand bend at the end. I was all unweighted wrong. I was airborne. I grabbed my brakes, front and back. Stupid, I know. But as soon as my front tyre touched the ground, I tomahawked straight away into the embankment. But yeah, when I hit the embankment, I did a grade 5 shoulder separation. Jumped back on my bike and kept riding, and I don't think it was until the first berm where I really weighted up my shoulder and put a lot of weight on it, and that's when I realised I knew something was wrong straight away.
Sort of double doors crash open, and then suddenly there's like 12 people in your field of vision where previously there was only ceiling. I could hear one nurse asking, "Can you feel that? Can you feel that?" And the nurse said with a clarity and a change of tone that cut through, "Can you feel that?" And I had to say no. I'd had a spinal accident and I couldn't feel one part of my body. Got very real in that moment. Yeah, let's call that my biggest stack.
The big injury was on the Easter weekend of 2021. My mate and I had season passes for Thredbo. It was a reasonably gusty day on the day. I popped off a little knuckle on the trail, caught a gust of wind, which rotated the bike, and so I've come down on my side, landed awkwardly, and didn't feel too good afterwards. But I came away from the weekend with what we were calling sciatica. One day on the bike, I slipped over and I just fell down on my ass at walking pace, nothing interesting. And I hobbled home, and then the next thing I remember, I don't know, it must have been 5-6 in the morning, and I couldn't move. Everything was painful. An ambulance was called. I was taken up to the hospital, confirmed that I had some bulges in my spine. So I was sent home from hospital with a packet of painkillers. I couldn't get into the neurosurgeon for it must have been about 10 weeks. Sometimes the pain was bad, and that was kind of normal, but there were a few times where it was absolutely horrendous. And I do remember thinking that, you know, if this was going to be normal, then I didn't want to be a part of it. So that was, yeah, I was kind of in and out of hospital just waiting to meet the neurosurgeon. Finally got in to meet the neurosurgeon, L4, L5, S1 bulge discs.
How long was it before I got riding again? I think it was pretty quick. It was like 1 month before I was back on the bike after that crash with a grade 5 shoulder separation. But I had to book in and then have surgery. So the recovery from the surgery was a completely different thing. So they had to do a lockdown procedure where they do a samurai cut. They took out part of my tendon in my left arm. They used that with a lockdown band. Yeah, they basically go underneath your shoulder blade and then come back around and then button it into the collarbone itself.
Damage to the bike, not a lot.
No damage to the bike at all.
So yeah, I was told that I'd probably never ride again.
Clearly, everything worked out, and like I say, I'm not held back from doing anything, least of all riding.
But because I went to a physiotherapist who just said to me, well, look, if you want to get back on a bike, do what I tell you, and it's not going to be pleasant.
I had heavy bruising, I think, on the cartilages. So that took about 6 months before I couldn't feel it.
The first ride I did was actually back at the local trails Super Bowl, and I just took it really easy.
Sorry, did you ever doubt you'd get back? Did your enthusiasm to ride ever waver?
Yeah, it's just...
No, to be honest, like the first one at a wubba, that was a bit of a shock because it was a double injury, right? You do the injury and then you got to go in for the surgery, and then so you're recovering from both. So Yeah, that was a real kick in the ass, that one.
And that's when like the doubts went. When she said, "Man, I'll get you back on a bike." I trusted her. So I went from never riding again to that was my goal. That was the end game. That was for me. I just wanted to ride.
From day one, I took the opinion that I could not say I was recovered until I was back riding. I had to be doing what I was doing the day before the accident to say that I had fully recovered. And at 25, 27 years old at the time, the thought of not fully recovering was unacceptable.
Did I ever doubt? Absolutely. Did my enthusiasm to ride ever waver? I don't think so. But fear definitely creeps in from time to time. I don't want to go back there.
No, I was always keen to get back on the bike, so to keep my mentality in the right headspace.
And the biggest problem for me is mountain biking fixes everything. So if I have an issue like with my kids or work, or I'm just not feeling myself, you know, a financial issue or something, I'm on my bike, I get on there and I just think it through, and I knew it was never going to be the same. And so I negotiated with myself so much during that period off the bike. I had to do it because mountain biking just fixes everything. It fixes everything for me.
You can walk down a set of stairs and break your fibula. Like lots of people do it playing soccer. So it's just one of those things. And yeah, never doubting whether or not I'd get back on the bike again.
Was riding a reward for recovery or part of your recovery? It's a tricky question.
It wasn't a reward. It was part of it. It wasn't a reward. It was part of me recovering.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably a bit of both, I think.
Because riding again is always my end goal. Yeah, sure. It's a reward because you go through the injury. You literally do all the rehab, and then riding again is 100% a reward, but it's definitely part of the recovery as well.
What is it about riding that got you through these challenges? Why do you ride?
Why do I ride? There's so many reasons why I ride.
It's all, I first got into mountain biking because I finished doing something else that I couldn't do anymore, which I loved. And I think just getting out on a bike, and even on a fire trail in the bush, just like lifts your mood, and that's really why I do it.
Oh geez, I've done a whole video on this. It really does come down to mental health largely. A significant portion of that is my social circle, social contacts. Without being social, getting out of the house is difficult.
Literally, the people that you meet on the trail are just always happy, always friendly. I surf as well, and I've seen aggro in the surf like you wouldn't believe. I've never seen aggro on a mountain bike. Never once have I seen anyone getting angry at another rider. Like, sure, you have the occasional quip here and there, but you know, compared to other sports, it's like absolutely no way. I guess the other thing as well is, like, how many times have you met a mountain biker on a trail and they'll literally give their shirt off their back? Like spare tubes and, you know, tools and whatever you need. Like, I've never ever seen anything like that in my life.
Mountain biking just fixes everything. It fixes everything.
Does your family think you're mad for continuing to ride? Do they support your riding or merely tolerate your MTB activity? I might sound like a bit of a prick with this one, but I've never really thought about that.
Does my family think I'm mad for riding? No, I think generally they get it, but they do think I am selfish for riding. More than ever after this accident and the months of recovery and needing help to shower and needing help getting dressed and all of that sort of stuff.
So when I had the crash, you know, there was some initial pushback from my wife about, you know, well, you should be doing, you know, you're 50 years old, you shouldn't be doing this. And I think that once the dust settled, everybody sort of knew that what mountain biking meant to me. They also knew that, like I've had a couple of cancer diagnoses. I've got special needs kids, so I need an outlet, and I think they also knew that being my outlet, and they also know that I'm not a dickhead.
My wife is pretty good. She knows that I love it. Sometimes she gets a bit shitty. You know, if I'm spending too much time editing and whatever, but I love that too, so.
Yeah, there's no denying that, 100%. They all my family, all my friends, they all think I'm crazy for doing what I do. But on the flip side, they all know that I love it. They genuinely know that I really love doing this thing. A lot of the time they're scratching their head going, oh my God, he's gonna do it again. And I get asked that question so often, like, are you gonna keep riding after this latest injury? And the answer is yes.
Is riding an addiction? Well, look, I mean,
something you need, crave, or rely on. Yes, yes, and yes.
I don't know how to explain it, which is really cool, I guess. But yeah, I can't not do it.
Yeah. Addiction's a dirty word. But this is a big part of me maintaining my sanity. Yeah, it's a pretty special thing.
For what you have to take on and carry to be a mountain biker, expense and the toll on the family and the time and the opportunity cost and all of that, yeah, the physical risk of it, and to still do it for that, I honestly can't remember a time I didn't own a bike. There isn't a me without a bike in the picture.
Dust in the eyes, the whole thing, the whole package, there's nothing I don't like about it. Even the crashes, I understand that's part of it. But no, yeah, I'm addicted.
So what remains different now compared to the day before this accident? So
when things were at their worst, I was spending a lot of time. I then started working through YouTube, and I found Brian Van Duzer, and he was doing the Colorado Trail on his bike. And so that kind of, throughout darkest time, that gave me something to look forward to. And things just fell into place afterwards, and I went and did it. I don't have the words for it, but it was something I had to do. I still wasn't a fixed person, so going and doing that thing didn't magically fix me like I'd hoped. But since then, I'm always looking for the next big bikepacking ride. So
I guess for me, it's the awareness that even with the easiest stuff on a mountain bike trail, you can still break shit.
Look, following an accident, the costs of riding are always higher. There is the additional stress, risk, and paranoia of re-injuring the same thing, or another injury, or compounding the physical issues you've given yourself. That never changes. It's always harder after an accident than before, and remains so.
But yeah, just to know that there's light at the end of the tunnel, and like, while it may look different, if you're prepared to go through a little bit of hurt to get there, you can get back to where you want it.
If you are on a plan or something like that, then stick to it. Try to do it as to your best ability, but don't overdo it, because that can actually make your recovery longer if you try and push too hard.
Was I going to get back on a bike? I didn't know, but I know that if I would have seen a video like this, I would have banked it and referred to it a lot, because sometimes I just had no answers during the day. Like when I'm on the lounge at home alone, not being able to move and getting excited because I could have a shower in an hour, because that's the most exciting thing I could do. I'd like to know that the people do go through this. I felt really alone. That was the worst part.
My number one advice for someone that's currently injured, so you always hear a time frame, and it's something like, you'll be in a boot for 8 weeks and you won't be able to walk, or the total recovery time's going to be 3 months. When you're freshly injured and you hear 3 months, that feels like forever. And I think the thing to keep in mind is that it's only bad for a few weeks, and then the back end is always so much better. And I guess the other thing is to just focus on the little wins, like whether it's being able to walk for the first time without a crutch, your first time you're able to stand on your tippy toes. Like, mark those dates and remember them, and just always keep looking forward and getting better, and it's all incremental, and that's pretty much what you need to focus on. Obviously mental health is a huge one as well.
Learn that, and when you do get back, okay to just chip away at it. Like, do it properly, do it so it all works.
Everything is temporary.
And when you do have another accident, that you survive it and because you're mentally prepared and physically prepared as well.
Yeah. Part of, a lot of this is directed straight at you, mate. But it's for everyone as well. Like I said, I've wanted to share a lot of this for a long time now.
All right, well, that's me done.
Oh, that's it.
All that's left is to thank David, Shan, Mick and Shane for their generosity and trust with this project. The biggest thank you can give is to check out their channels. If you know someone struggling with the isolation and frustration of injury, give them a call, go for a coffee, share this video, make sure they're doing their physio.